Rina the Rocket Girl. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled between rolling hills and thick forests, lived a bright and curious girl named Rina. Rina had always been fascinated by the night sky, spending hours gazing at the stars and wondering what it would be like to touch them. She often dreamed of soaring high above the clouds, reaching for the stars that twinkled like diamonds. Rina's father, Mr. Jenkins, was a hardworking miner who believed that practical work was the key to success. He often told Rina that her dreams of reaching the stars were just fantasies. "The sky is beautiful, Rina," he would say, "but our lives are here, on the ground." But Rina was determined. She didn't want to just look at the stars. She wanted to go to them. Inspired by the stories of great scientists and explorers she read in her books, Rina decided she would build her own rocket to reach the stars. With the help of her best friend Leo, who was a whiz with tools, and her science teacher, Miss Alder, who believed in nurturing her students' dreams, Rina began her ambitious project. They worked in secret, using scraps of metal, old pipes, and whatever materials they could find around town. They spent hours after school in an old shed behind Rina's house, carefully assembling each piece of the rocket. Their first attempt was a small, simple model that they launched in the field behind the school. The rocket sputtered, rose a few feet off the ground, and then fell back down. Rina and Leo were disappointed, but Miss Alder encouraged them not to give up. "Failure is just a stepping stone to success," she said. "Keep trying, and you'll get there." Rina's determination grew stronger. She and Leo studied harder, learning more about physics and engineering, and with each new attempt, their rockets flew higher and higher. They even got the attention of a few other kids in school who were curious about what they were doing. Soon, Rina and Leo had a small team helping them, all excited about the prospect of launching a rocket that could really reach the stars. But the road wasn't easy. Rina's father disapproved of her spending so much time on what he called childish dreams. He wanted her to focus on her studies and help around the house. "Rina, these rockets won't put food on the table," he said. "You need to think about your future here, not in the sky." Rina was torn. She loved her father and didn't want to disappoint him, but she couldn't let go of her dream. One evening, after a particularly harsh argument, Rina sneaked out of the house and headed to the shed. As she sat there, staring at the half-built rocket, Leo arrived, and the two friends talked about what they would do next. "We've come so far, Rina," Leo said. "We can't give up now. Let's make this next rocket the best one yet. Let's show everyone that dreams can come true." With renewed determination, Rina and her team worked tirelessly. They made countless calculations, built new components, and tested everything over and over. The whole town buzzed with rumors about the kids building a rocket, and many people doubted they would succeed. But Rina's belief in her dream kept her going. Finally, the big day arrived. Rina and her friends had built their most ambitious rocket yet, which they called StarChaser. They set up the launch site on a hill just outside of town, where everyone could watch. The whole town gathered, including Rina's father, who stood silently at the back of the crowd, unsure of what to expect. Rina stood by the rocket, looking up at the sky. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "This is our chance to reach the stars." With her heart pounding, Rina lit the fuse and the crowd held its breath. For a moment, nothing happened, and then, with a roar, StarChaser shot into the sky, climbing higher and higher. The crowd gasped and then erupted into cheers as the rocket soared far beyond the trees, becoming a tiny speck against the vast sky. Rena watched in awe as her dream finally took flight. Tears filled her eyes as she saw the rocket disappear into the sky, knowing she had done what everyone said was impossible. As the cheers died down, Rena's father walked over to her. He looked at her with pride and a bit of wonder. "I didn't believe it was possible," he admitted, "but you proved me wrong. You reached for the stars, and you got there." Rena smiled and hugged her father. "Thank you, Dad. I couldn't have done it without believing in myself and having the support of my friends." From that day on, Rena's success inspired everyone in town. She became known as Rina the Rocket Girl, and her story spread far and wide. She continued her studies, dreaming of the day when she could build a rocket that would take her to space for real. And every night, as she looked up at the stars, she knew that no dream was too big, and that with determination, hard work, and a little bit of magic, anything was possible. The end.